me. That was 2013, my last flight in the Harrier, back young, no carrier in the world. Just flew my last flight, training a new guy to do close air support. It was the guy's first flight with actual bombs doing close air support with Marines on the ground. And so a lot of what I talk about today is about close air support. And really I talk, support is what I guess my theme is going to be, and then preservation of life. Anyway, a lot of words up there. Did a lot of things in the Marine Corps, did 30 years, got to see various different places around the world, and I'll get into a few of those here. So 2 minutes and 37 seconds. 6 months after 9/11, I found myself facing my worst fear as a close air support pilot. Whether or not my bombs were going to kill our friendly troops or maim them or cause casualties. When I talk about some stories of mine, I know if anyone feels that I might be touching them too close home, just take a knee or walk to the back or whatever, or just tell me to shut up and I'll stop talking, right? But I was facing down my worst fears over the Shaikat Valley over in Afghanistan in what's called Operation Anaconda in early March of 2002. So I'm in a third-degree dive. The Shaikat Valley is 8,000-foot valley, and the caves and peaks are 12,000 feet, 13,000 feet. And everyone who's flown any high-performance jet aircraft, the performance of the planes change when you're at higher altitude, especially if you're doing a dive bomb, right? But I got a 500-pound high-explosive bomb that has a guidance kit on it for laser guidance. The guys on the ground can't give you laser guidance because they're taking rounds and they're covered up. And so I have to drop it dumb. So I dropped my bomb and I had to wait 2 minutes and 37 seconds, an eternity, to find out, did they survive? Did I hurt some or not? Normally it's right away, you get, okay, good hits, let's move it around, but since they were so close, I had to wait 2 minutes and 37 seconds. And you're gonna have to wait too, because I'm not gonna tell you about how it ends until later. Okay, so my talk today is 3 stories, 3 wars, and 3 fears. Fear number 1, am I going to not hurt our friendlies? Or even hurt the innocent, right? Because when you're dropping bombs or shooting guns, whether you're on the ground or in the air or off a ship, we want to preserve life. We want to preserve the life of our troops, and we also don't want to harm those that are just innocent, that shouldn't be harmed. And I'll say, no, and anybody who kills and enjoys it is not, needs to talk to some people. But I'm proud to make sure that I have no problem doing what I did for our country and for our troops when it comes to close air support and taking care of them. But anyway, 3 wars, 3 fears, 1 mission, preserve life. I did 30 years in the Marine Corps, 18 moves, 8 deployments, peacetime, wartime, numerous detachments. Missed the birth of my daughter. She was born yesterday. I found out she was born yesterday many years ago. I was on deployment over Iraq after the Gulf War when I found out that she was born. My wife Tanya, who is here with me today, she was born also on a 9th, and while her dad was in Vietnam. So it was kind of interesting that we were both deployed overseas for that. So I'll talk more about Tanya. Missed high school graduations, all of us do this, right? Missed high school graduation, missed that, but one special woman. That woman right there. So that's the beginning and the end. The alpha and omega, I call it the commissioning and the decommissioning. So we recreated this photo. So back in 1989, I was actually on my way to law school, supposed to go to law school, when I met a Vietnam veteran. I actually met a Vietnam veteran's daughter, Tanya. And so then I met all his buddies. Okay, Vietnam veterans, raise your hand, please. Because you're the reason why I joined the Corps. You're the reason why. Because, yeah. Because I met you and I you recognize your sacrifice, but I saw something in the eyes of these Marines, former Marines, and I could say it of anybody who's done that I said, okay, these people have a love of life, a serious nature but fun, and I wanted to be like that. And I didn't want to, so I did not go to law school. I had a struggle with my dad for a period of time because he thought I was throwing my life away. He was in the Army back after Korea, and it was different back then, and he just wasn't, he thought I was throwing it away. So anyway, of course I met the Marine's daughter, and that's all she wrote. So 30 years later, we pretended that she's decommissioning me and did the photo. But anybody who's served and spent time with someone else like we have, you can't do it. It's hard to do it by yourself, whether you're married or not, or friends or whatever. It's hard to do by yourself. Okay, back to 2 minutes and 37 seconds. So this is me, that's the back of my head. Big head. You could know I got this birthmark right here. So we're on the USS Bonhomme Richard. Just after 9/11, it says, hey, everybody, let's get on the ship. Let's get as fast as possible over to Afghanistan. And we're gonna go, we're gonna go do our mission. So we did, got on the ship, off we went. That guy named Josh Luck. Dennis, Dennis, he's over. That's the guy who recruited me in the company I'm in right now, by the way. So he's a captain, I'm a major, and we're about ready to do the first combat mission of the USS Bonhomme Richard. And we got it, battle scarred because we were the first ones to drop bombs for the USS Bonhomme Richard. So anyway, we're briefing our mission to fly. Our mission profile was something never done before in the history of the Harrier. 6-hour missions was the norm. Single pilot, 6-hour mission. It wasn't just flying, we flew across the world behind tankers for 6 hours or 8 hours. But this was an actual combat mission where we would fly, take off the aircraft carrier. So every pilot, like Maz, will lie and say that that's them in every pilot photo. Right? And that's me. Literally, I'm sure that's me in 52 taking off for that first mission up in Afghanistan. We'd take off at day and we'd come back at night. So we would take off and we would, it'd be dusk and we'd fly over all of Pakistan, flying over the entire state of Texas to get to New Mexico, to go support the troops on the ground. And when I first got there, it was before Anaconda. We were supporting CIA and others that were down there. Didn't know who they were. They were just, we'd be on the right frequency. They'd be able to authenticate, and we do our business with them. So that's what that was what we did. That was our mission profile. Fun story about the Navy. I love the Navy. Marines love the Navy, and we love the Navy. So the ship's captain, the night before this mission, they briefed me. I was a senior. I was in charge of all the Harriers, so I was the Harrier detachment commander as a major. Too much responsibility for this stupid guy. But anyway, they asked me, "What do you need?" I said, "I need 20 knots. I need 22 miles per hour of wind over the deck. I need you to, if there's no wind, I need to drive that ship as fast as possible to get that wind over the deck because we're carrying drop tanks with fuel. So we're 32,000 pound takeoff. No catapult. This is the Harrier. So we're using our engine, which has 23 pounds of thrust, and I weigh 32,000 pounds with drop tanks and with bombs. We even had for the first beginning, we were stupid. We had a Sidewinder missile, which we did not need over Afghanistan, in case the Taliban flew a fighter jet up to go get us. I don't know what, but anyway, and so that's what we asked for this takeoff, this exact takeoff. We spin up the jets, talk to the landing signal officer, and they say, "Hey, tumor," that's my call sign. I told Maz, everyone is not alive anymore because I got rid of them. I knew why I have that call sign tumor, but it came from Korea. So anyway, I will not tell you that story. So I need 20 knots of wind over the deck so we can take off the ship. The Harrier uses nozzles at the end of the ship. You rotate those nozzles down to about 55 degrees and you jump off the end of the deck, right? Called the jump jet. Well, you don't jump off the end of the deck at 32,000 pounds. You settle towards the water, right? And I needed 22 knots of wind because I got permission to have 0 excess at the end of the deck. Normally you want 5 knots of excess just in case, something's a little off or whatever. So I got permission to get 0 knots. That permission came from the head of the Harriers, myself. So, so gave myself permission to go do this with our guys, and it's a serious decision, but we need to go do this. We have to fly to what's called trick-or-treat tanking. We got to fly over to the other side of Pakistan and Afghanistan, hit the tankers. When you get to the tanker, you don't have enough gas to get back to the aircraft carrier. And so you only had enough gas to land in, this is on the tape, I want to say Shitholistan. So anyway, so one of the stands, and we didn't have very good options. We didn't have very good publications, didn't have instrument procedures to go in there. We just had, it was that, or you go somewhere close and eject, right? That was the option. So we needed this to get off. So anyway, the landing signal officer said, Toomer, what do you want to do? I said, well, damn it, because I can't take off. Because the ship that night took a boiler offline to do maintenance because they thought there'd be 5 knots of wind, and the ship can do 15 knots on one boiler. Well, we didn't have 5 knots of wind, we had 0 wind, it was super calm, and so we had to make our own wind. So I had to burn gas. We only had a 10-minute window with the tanker, and then, because this is Afghanistan in 2002, those tankers were life, air power was great, and so the next group was F-16s, and so you had 10 minutes to get there, and I got to fly across Texas to get there. The time distance thing is hard there. Anyway, long story short, we burned some gas, we're going to be a little late. We take off, we settle off the end of the ship, off we go, and we take off. We fly up, we get to the tanker just at the end of our window. F-16s are late, go Air Force. And so, we got our gas, and we're able to proceed on our mission. So anyway, that is actually me on the top left, that's me on the top right, that's me flying the tanker, that's me behind the tanker, that's me in the KC-10, and all those Harriers. That's what pilots do. We say we're doing cool stuff. But those are also my photos, because the beauty of America and our ability to deploy to support our troops is fantastic. It's just fantastic. The Soviets got broken in the wellback in that area because they couldn't do what we do, which was deploy all this air. And those tankers were the MVPs, I think, when it came to doing that. The Air Force tankers, that's a British L-1011, then I'm behind on the bottom left. And so we would, without the Air Force and the Joint Force, the International Force, we couldn't have done it 24/7. I got photos of KC-10s with B-52s behind it, and I'm waiting for B-52 to finish getting fueled up so I can get in behind the KC-10. How long it takes B-52 to fuel up? So anyway, okay. Back to the story, 2 minutes, 37 seconds. So check in to the frequency. It's a special ops team. I check in and says, hey, I need a bomb at this spot and I need it as soon as possible. I said, okay, you want to finish the rest of the 9 line? We have a 9 line, which is 9 lines of information that tells the pilots exactly what you're doing, where the friendlies are, coordination, that kind of stuff. And he says, I'm going to give you 2 lines. I need it now, and here's the point. Okay? And I said, well, so where, how close to the friendlies? We are close. And I said, are you danger close? He says, yes. And that's the last thing I had for them. That's the last communication. No cleared hot, no continues, that kind of stuff. That's it. I need it now and at this point. And at the target elevation was 9,000-ish feet, which if you're fly jets, and a Harrier, which is not meant for bending air, with his big fat wings, which is meant for carrying bombs and being down further low. So 30,000 feet, 30-degree dive, looking at a diamond in my HUD, no laser communication, you guys can't give the laser target, and I'm dropping a bomb in a coordinate that's danger close. I'm looking, and you don't have a lot of time. How long do you have from 29,000 feet to drop your bomb at 16,000 feet to build curve, carve the jet out, mush the jet out of a bomb with, a dive with other bombs on board? You got 11 seconds, maybe, when you're rolling to look. So you're looking, I'm looking. Of course, they're hunkered down, they're dropping bombs, off we go. So I climb up the attack cone, and we're waiting. My wingman's with me. We're waiting. I'm not going to talk on the radio because I don't want to talk over them. Waiting. And then, okay, good. Okay, next bomb. And that was it, thank God. So none of them died. They were 80 meters from where this 500-pound bomb impacted. What's the normal effective range of a 500-pound bomb? Lethal, 100 meters. 500 meters is close, right? So anyway, so kudos to that team, and that they would have needed. Then we started dropping bombs around the area for them, and off we went back to the ship. Actually, we had to go hit another tanker, and then we had to go back to the ship. Okay, talk about danger close. So it's me coming back from that deployment, and we all know this. When you go on deployment, you say, I swear to God, upon all that's holy, I'm going to be such a good human. I'm going to be the best dad, the best father that I can be. But I'm dragging a little baggage, like we all do when we come home, and that promise often doesn't last that long. That's why I love groups like this that help with veterans. And after you do service, we have a lot of work that you can go do. But that was it. That's the KISS. That's way better than Christmas. That's way better than anything at that moment. And you can't package that moment and keep it forever, because you come back to the real world and real things. Okay, let's talk about the second war, second story, second fear. Second war is Iraq, 2003. Got back in the late summer of 2002 from Afghanistan. We were gone about 10 or 11 months. And it was don't pass go, don't collect $200. But the Department of Defense, and especially the Marine Corps, didn't do something that I thought would have been a lot smarter. Was they didn't do what's called a stop loss and a stop move, which is, okay, we're going to, someone knew we were going to be going to Iraq, but it wasn't out. But they did put out a stop loss, stop move. So what happens when we get back? All these pilots that have been trained through this, all these maintainers, all the ordnance people, all the administrative folks that were with me there, at least a third of them moved. And some of them got out. And so now it's October-ish of, September-ish of 2002. And say, hey, we're going to go to Iraq. Now, we got a bunch of new pilots, under 100 hours flying these machines, and a bunch of new ordnance people. We got a bunch of new everybody, and so go do this. Oh, by the way, you're leaving on the aircraft carrier in November, right? So not a whole lot of training time. Anyway, so off we are. Night one of the war, I'm exposed to what I call my second worst fear as a close air support pilot. And that's not being able to keep our side, our friendlies, from being hurt or killed, right? Your mission is to get there, to drop your bomb, and if your bombs are effective, that preserves their life. So I'm facing that down. So we are, yep, it worked, Kathy. Yeah. It's a dark photo, because that's what it looks like at night on an amphibious carrier with no moon. It's just dark. And this guy I'm standing next to is named Dan Gilkey Geezer. I have Geezer up there. He's alive, so you don't think that this is a sad story about Geezer. But that's a photo we had off the coast of Pakistan. He was with me when we went to to go do all his missions up in Afghanistan. Get back, he moves. He moves to become the regimental air officer for one of our Marine Corps regiments. And the beauty about the Marine Corps and how it integrates its Marine Aircraft Task Force is we train together, we work together, and he's the regimental air officer when I get my the first night of the war in 1 year after I was in Afghanistan here in Operation Anaconda. So this is March 19th of 2003, taking off the aircraft carrier. We're going to go do close air support. We got other guys that are doing strikes on various different targets. We got a carrier full of Harriers now. I'm no longer the guy in charge of the Harriers. There's actually a colonel and a lieutenant colonel. I'll say nothing bad about them. It's on tape. So I'm kidding. These are personal friends, very good friends of mine. So I'm no longer in charge. I'm just competent. Kidding, I'm a colonel later, so I make fun of myself. So Geezer is with the regiment. He's out there doing what the regiment does. These are the team that does all the work for us. But we take off the carrier. I'm with a guy who has 97 hours in the Harrier, 75 of them are in the training squadron, and then the rest are with us. And we're heading out to go do close air support. We work with an LAR platoon for a period of time. We drop our bombs. We come back. We land at a base in Kuwait. I can't remember if it's Al Jab or Al Aslam, but we land on one of those bases. We get fuel and bombs, go back out. Right? That's the best thing about the combined arms concept. And we just get close, then drop bombs, come back. So we take off for the next mission, flying there at night. We have a laser guided bombs. I got my own laser targeting pod, so what happened to us in Afghanistan, we didn't have those pods for that year prior. We now have these pods on, so I can do laser guidance on our own, thankfully, right? While we're back in the fuel pits, getting the fuel, there comes a call over the Direct Air Support Center that says the Marines are taking fire. They're taking casualties are being reported, possible chemical munitions. That's what we hear. If anyone tells you that we didn't believe that he had weapons of mass destruction, chemical munitions, they're liars. We prepared for it, and we believed it, and you had to train to it, and you had to execute to it, because we thought that they did. They had it when they fought Iran. We took that seriously, right? So what do I hear? Well, I'm getting fuel. I got our brothers are dying, sisters are dying out there. We need to go take care of it. I can't get out of the fuel pit fast enough. We take off. I initially don't get sent to that mission. I'm over another mission. Something goes wrong. We get called off that mission, my wingman and I, to go support these guys. We could go they give us a 4-digit grid. How close is that?
So 100 meters?
Yeah, a little further, right? So it's a little further. So it's like, okay, here's a 10, so it's 1,000 foot, 1,000 foot divided by. So it's not very close enough. It's nighttime. Got night vision goggles on. I'm looking for artillery tubes shooting, and that's our team. Right? Okay. I no longer have bombs from that first mission. I got 25 millimeter gun rounds, and my wingman has bombs left. And so I need, as you see it on the battlefield, I was like, oh goodness, okay, what am I gonna do? I don't have any bombs. My wingman has bombs. My wingman is new. We're using laser guided bombs, and back in that integration of software was like OS 26.1, whatever, of our airplane, iOS, it was a little clunky. Visual Crystal, or whatever they call it, the new software for your iPhone, whatever. It was a little clunky. So my wingmans deal with clunky while we're trying to shut these tubes up. So I just roll in, right, with my gun, right? I roll in, I get down low and fast, and I fly right over all the guns, and I shoot down, I shoot at one, pop up, shoot another, pop up. It's not effective, I didn't hurt anybody. I mean, you think, okay, I want to say I was effective on target. I wasn't. All I wanted to do was shut them up. The good thing about this war against this enemy, they stopped for a little bit, because you fly over them, you shoot at them, they stop, because they don't want to be there. I'm sure they don't want to be there. Anyway, so I do that, and then I pop off the target. My wingman's got it squared away, comes in, starts dropping his laser guided bombs on each of these tubes. I'm now up there, and I'm able to use my pod, and I'm now marking for him because I saw where they are. So I'm using laser guidance for his bombs, and we go hit all the different targets. Okay. So we protected some of them, preserved some of the Marines' lives. Now, just to make this a good news story. So the guy Geezer puts this guy in for a higher medal, which eventually gets downgraded to an SUN. So, and the reason why? Well, guess when you fly a attack jet or a fighter jet down low, what are you doing that you're not doing when you're up high? Fuel-wise. You're burning a lot of fuel. Right? So when I pop up to be up there and do all the later stuff, I now know I watch my fuel and I can't make it back to the aircraft carrier. I'm supposed to go back to the aircraft carrier, but I can't make it back to the aircraft carrier. But I cognitively asked for permission. Hey, to my internal radio, hey boss, you got permission? Yes, got permission. Okay, I'm gonna stay here. We're gonna go below Bingo to the ship. We're gonna go back to one of those air bases and get gas, go back to the ship. Nothing had happened, except for that whole other strike that's being planned that needs these 2 jets. Anyway, so we finish up that, go back to, land back in Kuwait, get gas. Now I'm getting, hey, Toomer, I know these guys on the ground too. Toomer, they're yelling because you're supposed to be, no, I declared emergency, I'm coming back. But while we're coming in, they're shooting scuds down, and so part way, we're flying a procedure because it's night and dark, and got my night vision goggles on, flying a procedure to come into the base, and all of a sudden the guy on the controller stops talking. He says, hey, we're getting inbound scuds. He stops talking to us and then comes back. Okay. He's now wearing his mask, gas mask, and we're landing on this base. I'm like, should we be landing on this base? Because my Harrier doesn't filter that stuff out, and I'm just going to land and get gas. So anyway, we land there. Anyway, long story short, I land back in the aircraft carrier about 2.5 hours late, and got appropriately talked to. But in the exchange, remember I talked to Lieutenant Colonel? We know who we're talking about, right? Anyway, Lieutenant Colonel, a bit of a hothead, great guy, great friend. I would go to war with him, and I'd spend time in the casino with him, whatever, right? I get chewed out. He's getting chewed out by his boss, why the Mavericks and blah, 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 blah. So they asked, but I did say I made the right decision, I'd do it again. And they all agreed with that, but okay. That's that story. But if you talk about the heroes, that's the Ordnance Department with some plane captains and some airframers. The heroes of all my stories are the men and women that supported the work, right? I used to go around when I was a young squadron commander, and I would ask the troops this really wise thing. I'd say, what's the most important part of a rifle? Because I want them all to feel connected. Is it the trigger? Is it the bullet? Is it the rifling? No, every single part's important. Because I wanted the administrative folks, operations folks, even the people that ordnance feels closer to the mission because they're putting the bombs on. You want them to feel like part of the weapon, part of the weapon. Well, I'm walking around the squadron once, and I asked that question, what's the most important part of the rifle to the group of power line guys that work on the engine, they're plane captains. The young Lance Corporal knew the squadron goes, the Marine behind it, sir. And I was like, you're absolutely correct, right? The Marine behind the system, the Marines that support us, the soldiers, airmen, sailors, Coast Guardies, whatever, that support us are the entire most important part of the weapon system. And that kind of brings me to my third story, my third war, and the lingering fear, right? Third war. Okay, so I did Iraq, Afghanistan. What's the third war? The third war is what we all face when we get out, when we leave, right? It's the war against being disconnected. It's the war against feeling isolated. It's a war against, you did so well, you'll do so well here. You feel like you're by yourself in this transition, even though you're with a special woman, but you have strong shoulders. You're supposed to be able to carry all this stuff. You're supposed to be able to do it by yourself. You're a colonel. You're 30 years. You're going to transition fine. We all have a war when we transition. Now, maybe there's a few that do great and never have any concerns, but we face a war of depression. I'm not saying I was depressed, but there's times, maybe I was, right? There's this war. And there's this lingering fear that did what I do mattered, right? I'm disconnected from it. So what do we do to fight this war? What's the weapon, right? We have these targeting pods, we've got these laser-guided bombs, we've got GPS-guided bombs, we have the Marines behind us. So how do we fight this war against this disconnect, the sense of mattering, that it really mattered, all the sacrifices that we did? Even when you come home like our Vietnam veterans, no file law, and you face what they faced when you came home. Or we face now, we have wonderful organizations that take care of us, that help us with it. How do we fight this war? Well, I'm going to tell another story. My wife and I are on, last year was my 60th lap around the sun, and we wanted to do some bucket list things. And one of my bucket list things was to go all James Bond, go to Vienna, put on tuxedos and ball gowns, and go out to the opera, and go to a Michelin 3-star restaurant, which is stupid expensive, and I would never do it again. But I want to burn money and have a great experience with my wife in Vienna. We always wanted to do this. We always wanted to go to an opera, and we're not opera people, but by the way, it was fantastic, you know, and take her out to a wonderful dinner. So we're at a place called Styrek, which is a Michelin 3-star. They say it's one of the top 3 restaurants in Europe, you know, blah, blah, blah. Well, you know, so poor life, right? Poor transition. But we're there, and this is my daughter Emily, who was born while I was over Iraq. On yesterday, but I found out on the 10th because I was there, just like her dad thought she had a Marine baby because she was born November 9th, and he found out November 10th in Vietnam. Anyway, so she texts me, I'm at this dinner, how's your hiking shape? What do I say? Round. Right? You know, and then, how good hiking do you think you'd be by August 3rd? This is May 17th. Our anniversary day, right after our anniversary, and I said I'm always ready to be for a good hike, just not a killer hike. So we're hanging out at this dinner. Bloop. Okay, how about 16 miles? I'm like, I sent her a picture of the bread cart. She says, up the cables of Half Dome because I just won the lottery for it. And I go, no. She says, oh, you guys have so much fun. Okay, so is that a no? Because I put it Half Dome. Who knows where Yosemite is? In Yosemite, Half Dome is an iconic hike up some cables. She said, up the cables of Half Dome. 12 years earlier, 2013, when that photo of me in the very beginning, my last flight, that we went to Yosemite in between that job and going to become the chief staff of 1st Marine Expedition Force, and we went to Yosemite. And we did a big hike up the falls, did all stuff. We didn't have the tickets because it's a lottery system, so we couldn't go up Half Dome. And so my daughter was upset because I've taken them hiking throughout my life. And anyway, so, okay, is that a no? I said, it's a maybe, can I think about it? And then, of course, she says, of course, I have a permit for 2, and it'll take you since I think it would be amazing. And I said, that's great, that sounds great. What's the elevation? 4,800 feet of climb, easy peasy, right? Easy peasy. That's my daughter, right? I sent her a picture of the cheese cart. And then what she has here, I think, is kind of one of the good weapons. The next thing she says, one of the good weapons against this war, and good advice for anyone, is to stop eating French food and start running. So, that was her advice to me, right? Stop eating French food and start running. Anyway, that's us. In August 3rd, after that trip, in which I gained a European weight in, but we did it. We went up 17 miles. It took us 11 hours. It ended up being 5,700 feet of actual, ascent over the hike. Who's done it? Anybody here done it? It's epic. I told her it was the most amazing civilian experience I've had. So other than not being there for my daughter's birth, or those kind of things. When it comes to physical, right? So the weapon, I believe, that really is for us, when you do the military, you do hard things, and you do it together, right? So the weapon against that is do hard things and do things together. And that's what this group is. I really believe when Tanya and I get involved in a couple other veteran groups, but when you look at GallantFew and those people here that help run it, and what you do, and this group that gets together, I think it's what will help us fight the war of that disconnect, of mattering, of depression, of what we lose when we lose, or we just forget that connection to when we go out there. So, what's the most important part of the veteran? The people behind them. And that's all you. So thank you so much. Appreciate you for listening to my lies. Anything that ever gets published, they were lies, not attributable to me, nor to and the names and faces were replaced by actors. Okay, thank you.
Questions? got a question.
How did you get tumor?
I can't tell you.
Yes, you can.
Based on what you said, all Marines are fishermen.
All Marines are fishermen. That's true. That's true. Very true. What else? I don't need any questions. How many bagels can I eat? How much cheese can I eat in a European dinner?
Now what for you?
Now what for me? Okay, so I left the Marine Corps in 2019. I was actually the chief of staff of the 1st Marine Expeditionary Force. My boss eventually becomes a commandant. He was a 3-star. And he says, Chief, you're going back to the Pentagon? And I said, boss, I know who I am and what I want. I want to do that. I want to go to Colorado, be the head of the ROTC unit there. Because I want to end with the beginning, which is training people. I know it's important there, so that's what I did. So I went there for 4 years as the head of that training program. And then my buddy, who was on the first mission in Afghanistan, Spud Luck, his name is, he said, hey, call this guy. And so I now work for a company called Quanta Services, and I went in to help them start an aviation group because they had problems with helicopters, and they bought a couple of helicopter companies, and those helicopter companies, we fly these linemen around. We do energy infrastructure, transmission lines, distributed substations. We build that. We do everything from generation to get energy to your home. And I said, okay, I'll go try and do that. So we started an aviation group, and then we'll call it a squad. One of our squadrons, which was actually one of our business units, was struggling, so I went down there to help them take care of business. And then I got recruited to go to Puerto Rico, because I hablo español. Entonces tuvimos que ir ahí en el 2021, y fuimos ahí para empezar una empresa ahí que se llama QuantaSur Puerto Rico, y vivimos ahí un par de años, 4 años. Volvimos acá y ya sigo como presidente de esa compañía. Muy bien, okay. So I still run that company in Puerto Rico. Brought Tanya back to Trophy Club because she said, honey, after 18 military moves, 3 moves post leaving, she said, please take me home. Met her in Trophy Club at the front pool.
No one remembers the front.
No one remembers the front pool. No, none of you. Yeah, at the front pool, she was a lifeguard. I was coaching the swim team, the summer league swim team. And here we are 37 years later. So anyway, sorry, one more question.
What's helped you the most, or what's been the biggest difference from leading Marines for that period of time to leading companies?
Yes.
And civilians?
Perfect. Great question. Well, people ask me, Mike, in business, how on earth can you run a construction company? And I said, okay. I don't want to say, well, this isn't that hard. No, I'm sorry. That was hard. Marines and sailors and doing the things we did was really hard. And doing other stuff is hard too, a different hard. But I said it's roughly the same thing. It's men and women in an environment doing technical things that they need to be trained for to support a mission. But the one thing that's disappointed me a little bit sometimes is motivation, right? The challenge that you have when you try and motivate, how do you motivate someone? We all joined the military, and we have your 1%ers or 5%ers or whatever that are no longer motivated in the military, right? That happens to us, all of us. But I have a little higher than 5%. People just are motivated only by the money and not by the mission. So the hard part is, how do you lead them through that to build the culture where they want to do the mission and they also value the money, because it's a for-profit business, so they have to be doing that. But hardest part I think is my transition was, well, I asked you to do it. So it's not done. How's that possible? And the other thing was, have a meeting and no one will take a note, and I'd be like, wait, hold on a second. Okay, that's it. Everyone's bringing notepads. Stop, go get notepads, come back, because when I say it, I want you to write it down. This is when I had almost a rebellion, because I said, I want you to write it down. These are my directors and managers. And then I'm going to forget about it because you're going to do it, because I know you wrote it down and you're going to take care of it, right? So what happens was that they'll meet my expectations of following through when you do like a Marine or Sailor Air Force, your troops. Yes, ma'am?
Quick question. My son is about to go to the Naval Academy.
Awesome.
He's also interested in becoming a pilot.
Wow.
I wanted to know, is there any program to help him pay for that pilot training?
Well, potentially disconnected. I worked at the Naval Academy. I was an instructor at the Naval Academy back in 2006 to 2009, and I ran a program which was called Introduction to Flight Syllabus, and we paid for them to fly when they became midshipmen, and they wanted to be pilots. They passed a certain level of physical. We would pay for them to get, part of their private pilot's license to do that. But that was while they were at the Air Force Academy. Now, has he been accepted to the Academy?
Yes.
Oh, awesome, congratulations. Yeah, that is awesome. My son went to the Air Force Academy because he wanted to do the practical alternative to military service. Sorry. Wait, is that on? Hey, never give a Marine a microphone. Okay, yeah, so yes, I don't know anymore, but I imagine there are some programs to help them with that, right? Yes, sir.
There is a company somewhere in Denton area that just got a contract from the government to train military and civilian in military aviation.
Nice.
I'm sorry, I don't know the name.
Okay, yeah.
Came across the internet, so it's gotta be available.
Yeah, we'll definitely look at, there should be some sort of research, especially when they go there, when they go to the academies. If you want to be a pilot, and I ran a program there that helped divide them up into different pools of what they wanted to go do. So that what they ask you what you want to do, you have to pass the physical is the most important piece. So you can pass the physical, and then they help train you to do it. I had 0 flight hours when I went to flight training. I'll take it back. I had 1 horrifying, scary flight hour.
It wasn't that bad.
Yeah, my wife is a pilot, so she scared me to death. I thought I wanted to be a pilot. Yes, sir.
There's a retired general here in Trophy Club who graduated from Annapolis, flew for the Marines, got bored with airplanes, transferred to the Air Force, and then later he retired.
Yeah. Leonard, okay. Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Raffle time? Am
Yes.
I pulling the
I'm
raffle?
gonna have you pull the ticket.
Okay, all right, here we
We're
go.
gonna start off with, common sense training. We're
Wait,
gonna start
wait.
off with the
Wait,
book that,
why are they laughing?
huh? Because
Put it away.
great authors have to give their books away.
No, it's because
Okay,
he's cheating.
I pulled number 1. Okay, it is 2. I don't have my glasses. What does that say?
Is there a name on it? Oh, no, there isn't.
Oh, wait,
it
that's my ticket. I pulled that out of my pocket. That's what Marines do.
Do they let you in the casino?
Yeah, cheat to win. Yes, sir. Okay, I pull it. Okay, here we go. But you're gonna have to read it because I
I'm
don't have
watching you
glasses.
this time.
Yeah, here we go.
This is Matthew. Matthew,
right.
all right.
All right. Woo!
All right, let's do another one. This one is Perseverance Greater Than Endurance, written by one of our board members. This is Mike Cox. Michael?
I was close to Mike Gough on that one.
And this is content that we use to do some workshops and coaching on. It's a great book. This, Ivan Rod.
All right.
All right. Mike?
Is that
thank
it?
you. That was
Okay.
awesome.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
appreciate you being here. Thank you, Mike. Everybody give Mike a hand.
All right. Thank you.
So I remembered what I forgot to say earlier, and that is after this, we're gonna clean this stuff up, and then we're going to Movement Gym in Grapevine to do some rock climbing. So all you guys from the VA that came, we're going to rock climbing after this, so I hope you all can come along for that. Anybody is welcome to come, if you wanna come. The other thing is, talking about doing hard things, we haven't released the registration for this yet, but July the 5th, we're doing our next Spirit of Darby event.
Nice.
Which is Colorado, Pikes Peak, hiking the incline of Manitou Springs. It's a week long of camping out in Cheyenne Mountain State Park. And so watch for that. That's an awesome thing. How many people have gone on that here? All right, so we got a handful. It's like weighted to this side of the room.
I mean, wanna go.
That's gone. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who wants to go? You need to come. And then in the back, on the table by where Zach was checking everybody in, these little round things have my phone number on it. So when you're talking about community, if you are not connected, or if you need somebody to talk to, grab my card, drop me an email, text me, get in touch with me. I am a licensed counselor, and the services that I provide for veterans are absolutely free. So if you need to talk to somebody, you don't have anybody else, reach out to me. All right, so we've got one more thing we want to do. Would you put the slide up, please? let's talk about Spartan Pledge. Now, what we're gonna do is I'm gonna have everybody come up, stand up, and you're gonna come up front. Mike, I want you to come up here since you're the speaker today. And, so everybody go ahead and stand up. And we're gonna come up, and the way the Spartan Pledge works is, we all are gonna be in contact with each other, right? So I'm gonna have my hand on Mike's shoulder, and somebody can have their hand on my shoulder. I can have 5 hands on my shoulder, it doesn't matter, but I want everybody, like, come on, everybody come on up here.
Talk about connection.
Set the microphone down because I don't need that for this. And while y'all are all getting in place, a lot of times, I didn't remember what's going to install the push-up layer for this. I have a chunk of the Pentagon that was salvaged after 9/11, where a friend of mine, retired Colonel Tom Cleary, received a soldier's medal for rescuing and pulling people out of the rubble of the Pentagon. But he gave me this little chunk, and I like to bring it along, and I like to use it as the focal point when we do the Spartan Pledge, because so many of the modern day veterans, their experience stemmed from that day on 9/11. And this little, it used to be pristine white limestone, cut perfectly, just gleaming white, and now it's all gray and dirty, and it's covered with oil because I let people touch it, because it's not something that needs to sit in a museum, it's something that we need to pass around. So I will bring it next time, so we can do this. But what the Spartan Pledge, it originated when Boone Cutler, whose picture you see up there on the slide, Boone was a civil affairs sergeant serving in Iraq during the surge time frame.